Yo, what is good, my skibbity sigmas? Today we're going to be giving you my honest review of Alhaitham after using him for around a day. As of recording this video, I have played with Alhaitham. Okay, as of recording this video, I have used Alhaitham for around like a few hours. I had him pre-farmed a bit, so I do have like a good set for him. Maybe like could be better. But alright, no more wasting time. Let me get over into my quick little rundown of his kit. So from an outside perspective, you might look at me like, yo, this man's a knockoff catching. I'm not pulling for him. Oh, you're stupid. Let me explain why. So after using your skill or burst, doing a charge attack, you see these little mirrors pop up on your screen. And you're like, what do they do? What do they mean? First of all, I made your mother cream, and I'm going to explain everything that's in between. Code bars aside, these mirrors determine how much damage Alhaitham does per, mirror. So the more mirrors you have, the more damage you do for your infused attacks and for your elemental skill. Most of his damage doesn't actually come from his normal attack. You really want to level up his elemental skill and burst, but the burst really isn't important. It really is the elemental skill that matters the most. This is because this is where Alhaitham's damage and damage buffs come from. Per mirror, it goes up quite a little bit. I don't know if you can see by that. But the ideal playstyle is you want to keep these mirrors up as much as possible and as many of them as possible. Obviously the limit is 3. I don't know if you can count that high. Now Alhaitham can get his mirrors in one of 3 ways. His E, his burst, or his first passive. The burst and elemental skill give you mirrors based on how many mirrors you currently have. So if you've got 0 mirrors on the burst, you gain back 3. And if you've got 0 mirrors on the elemental skill, you gain back 2. To get the third stack from the E, you're going to want to consider the first passive, which is that you get a mirror after plunging or charging the attack every 12 seconds. So essentially, you want to make sure that you almost always have 3 mirrors when you're playing Alhaitham on field. Kind of like this, where you put the elemental skill in the air, and then you plunge down, and then you start with 3 stacks. Obviously, I can't really hit that slime, can I, man? Also, his burst has a very hard to miss stack indicator, and as you can see, I gained back 3 stacks when I got 0. The same way that if I had already a stack, I'd gain back less. Comprende? Comprende. Now, one thing I really like about Alhaitham is that he fits into almost every single Dendro team, regardless of what it is, Quicken, Bloom, whatever. He fits into everything. So if you're into Dendro reactions, you can pretty much fit him into any team with almost any character, including Nilu. So he works really well with characters, Now a quick note, my teams may look different in the future simply because I don't have characters or I just haven't got them built. So for an example, I don't have Nahida, so I've just slotted on Yaya on this team because she works really well. She can carry D-port and she just works really well as a substitute for Nahida. Also, I would replace the Raiden with Kuki, but Kuki kind of doesn't have enough levels right now to be a suitable team member. And also, I've been thinking about replacing Yelan with Farina because Farina works really well because of like that slow hydro application. That kind of does him a favor. And of course she can buff. But both her and Yelan buff, which is really good. And that's kind of why I have them as Hydro to buff. Now this is low-key starting to sound more like a guide than a review. So let me just get into my review real quick. And just tell you about my experience, my thoughts, and whether I think it's overrated, underrated, all that kind of stuff. So let me start with some pros and cons. One of Alhaitham's massive pros is that he's a really, really good DPS. Who can really work well with a lot of teammates, especially in his, Dendro niche. And it just works really well for him and in his favor. And he works in almost every single Dendro team out there. So if you like Dendro and you don't have him, you should really pick him up. I want to talk about a small con real quick, and that is that, like every other Dendro reaction team, without Nahida, you are missing a lot of the damage ceiling that you could be possibly having. Because the way Nahida buffs and the way she works together with Alhaitham is extraordinary, and if you're like me and don't have her, you really are missing out on a lot of damage. But he still works. Pro is that he still works well without her regardless. You just need to slot like the right substitutes on and you'll be peachy and perfect in no time. And your Alhaitham will hit massive numbers, lad. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say 10 out of 10. Worth the caffeine overdose, worth diabetes for the rest of my life. Yappy, grind.